Now this is something you guys might find hard to believe, because you have your understanding of what I do, and you have your understanding of being online like this, and you must think that I'm just in it for the money and I only have to do this 10 minutes a day and it's incredibly easy for me. And although I deal with possibly some of the hardest challenges a man in the Western world can deal with and get men out of that position, and I make it look easy, it is relatively difficult for me. The same way your goals, the things you want, getting out of where you are now, is incredibly difficult. And this is something that's not really spoken about, because to sell a program, to sell something to you guys, or I mean, at the very least, programs aside, I mean, why do we buy nice cars? Why do we like to show off a watch? You don't have to do anything. Money down, you buy it, you feel relatively good. And just like buying that car that you want, I mean, that moment you get it, it feels great. That first few weeks, that first few months, you're showing it off, you feel good, you like to talk about it. I mean, especially this year, maybe it suddenly became all that bit too expensive. And maybe you couldn't even leave the house to drive it, I don't know. Or maybe that didn't even happen this year, it happened last year. And your expenses went up and things started getting hard at home. And all of a sudden, that very car that you loved, that was one of the best things in your life, is now something that you resent. I mean, I figured this out pretty early, because I reached that end goal. I reached that when I get this, I'll be happy, only to realize that really wasn't that happy. I mean, I didn't look exactly like I do now, but I did look like most men want to look. I did have the car most men want to have. I was living the life most men want to live. And this is something that you might find hard to understand as well, because that's what you're working towards, where you think, I get a six-pack, I feel confident, I have a nice car, people will respect me, I'll have a great partner, and I'll never have any dramas in my relationship. The man you are now, both good and bad, is simply multiplied by all these things. And this is why most men don't have those things, let alone inner peace, happiness, some kind of passion in their life. And they're just kind of treading water. It's not always financially, more often than not, it's mentally. Because no one ever said to us, I mean, apart from maybe in high school, primary school, no one ever said to us, who do you want to be? What do you want to do? And I don't mean like what do you want to do as in regards to what are you qualified as? Or what can you do realistically? Because we think the word realistic doesn't mean hard. We think just because we're qualified, we should do it, we could do it, everyone will approve what we do, it won't be hard. I mean, if you're anything like most men, you probably figured out somewhere along the line that everything is hard. I'm not talking about going to the gym consistently. I'm not talking about building a self-made fortune. I'm not talking about anything great just yet. I mean, we'll get to that. I'm simply talking about waking up and not resenting life. I mean, life is a gift, and I truly found that hard to understand and accept. Why is it a gift? All this bad shit happens. I have to do shit. Nothing is given to me. Everything is hard. Life's a fucking bitch. Then you die. I mean, there's a great philosophy. But I also understand it. I don't accept it, but I do understand it. And I mean, a simple phrase I can give you to help you understand whether you have the right belief systems or not, whether you have the right ideas. I mean, imagine this as your operating system. I mean, imagine this as the computer in your phone. Now, if you're anything like me, you remember the phones 5 years ago, 10 years ago? They were pretty shit. They were pretty shit, weren't they? We were blown away by, you could play Snake in your phone. And now if your camera's not taking state-of-the-art lifelike pictures, it's a piece of shit. But I'm sure our priorities, our values, have definitely changed this year. Because I also know myself, when people started dying, when my own health started deteriorating, when money wasn't an issue, but also when it was an incredible issue for me in the global financial crisis. I mean, God forbid, actually spend some money on something other than an iPhone. You think it's supposed to be easier. But you're not given a new mind. You're not given a new body. You're not even given a new belief system. I mean, I'm trying to give it to you right now. But it has to be based on a decision. I don't want to live like this anymore. I could be wrong. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I mean, there's some basic beliefs you can start with. Because if you're not wrong, you're right. And if you're right, how's that working out for you? If you're not willing to do whatever it takes, the same way you save and you get loans and you max out the credit card, anything to get that new phone, what are you willing to do to get that new mindset? I mean, body aside for a second, because that essentially builds it too. If you don't have this, you'll never build the body. If you don't have this, even if I gave you $1 million, a great girlfriend, some other things that you want, they'd be gone by the end of the year. The same way if I gave you an old Nokia, remember those things? Nokia bricks. If I gave you one of those, fully charged, has reception, and I said, book a plane ticket to California from Melbourne. Off you go. You couldn't do it. I mean, if you were really resourceful, you could probably call Flight Centre, but it's out of business hours, so you can't do it. Your mind, what you're capable of, you, your belief system, your current body, your current setup, it's not really capable of more right now. I mean, that's what you tell people. I can't do anymore. It's too hard for me. Take my word for it, when they're going to get very tough. When times are tough, when do you start needing a phone that works? When do you start needing reception? When do you start needing a full battery? I mean, most of you couldn't even handle the last 5 years. The next 5 years are going to be incredibly difficult. I'm not a pessimistic, I'm a realist. Most of you can't even control your weight. Most of you can't even go 7 days without being negative. Most of you can't even take responsibility for where you're at. That's not going to cut it in the next 5 years. And deep down somewhere inside of you, you know that. And that's why you watch this.